I would put the Rams at number 2. Even though they have the best defensive player in the league, Aaron Donald, they still have Leonard Floyd, and Ashawn Robinson's good too. The Cardinals, I think, have 4. I think the Rams have 3. I don't know who the fourth guy is going to be for the Rams, and maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe if you have Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and Ashawn Robinsson, it doesn't really matter. But I'm just trying to split hairs here, and I think that I'm going to put the Rams at number 2. I think the Cardinals have a surprisingly good front 4.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, I don't know if you saw my note sheet before this. I didn't share it with you, right?
I totally cheated off of you. Absolutely.
So the Aaron Donald effect is real, right? I didn't watch Reggie White. I didn't watch Lawrence Taylor. This is the best defensive football player I've ever seen. He dominates every game. He is so good. It takes 3 people to stop him, and it takes 3 people to have a chance at stopping him. I know people think that Daniel Brunskill did really well against Aaron Donald, and the way I see it is Daniel Brunskill did better than other guards against Aaron Donald. He still, for the most part, got his butt kicked, like every guard gets his butt kicked against Aaron Donald. So the Aaron Donald effect is real. I'm not like high on Leonard Floyd, but I'm not low on him. Obviously, things didn't work out with the Bears, but I really liked Leonard Floyd before the draft, and I thought he showed a lot of the things before the draft last year. Obviously, playing next to Aaron Donald helps. And all of that. I am high on Terrell Lewis. I thought he was something before the draft. I'm not telling you he's going to have 12 sacks next year, but I do think next to Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, he can definitely contribute and be that fourth guy. I think the Rams front 4 is still going to be menacing even without Michael Brockers. And when you have Aaron Donald, that's just a scary proposition for any offensive line.
They also lost Ebukam, even though they didn't use him a ton as a pass rusher, but they lost him.
Right.
Yeah. Don Burr in the house. Detroit, sorry.
Hate to agree with you guys, because this is where I thought we would disagree here. I thought, maybe one of us would have the Rams at 1, but like looking at the Rams D-line, it's basically it's pretty much just Aaron Donald. And I think you kind of saw this in the NFC Divisional last year against the Packers. When Donald was injured, who else stepped up? And the answer was nobody really could. And that D-line is worse now than it was then. I mean, they lost Fowler. Brockers is gone. I don't know if I'm sold on Floyd. I feel like you throw any semi-competent edge back there with Donald and they get 10 sacks. Because Floyd's last season in Chicago, he didn't really do much. So yeah, I'm with you guys. And as good as Donald is, I think their D-line probably has the most potential, because if Aaron Donald's going against a bad O-line, it's like 4 sacks and you can't really do anything but triple team him, which I guess in some instances you could argue they're the best just because of that. But I think on a game by game basis, the Rams D line is lacking with the 3rd and 4th guy, where the Cardinals they have studs all around. I mean, it's kind of hard to double team one guy because multiple guys need a couple of guys blocking them. So yeah, I'm with you guys. Rams second best.
So that brings us to Grant. We know who you have 1. Tell us why the Arizona Cardinals have the best front 4 in the NFC West.
I mean, I didn't realize what they put together. Who follows the Cardinals? But I just looked at their depth chart and I'm looking, J.J. Watt, oh yeah, they got him. Chandler Jones, oh yeah, he opted out last year. Jordan Phillips, they got him last year.
He was hurt.
Hell of a player. He was hurt. And Marcus Golden. Wow. Now, there's some age here. Phillips has an injury history. Watt has an extensive injury history. It could all fall apart, but I'm going to put them at number 1 right now. They're healthy now, so I'm going to put them at number 1.
Well, I agree with you. And I have questions about the Arizona Cardinals' overall depth in their defensive line. I do think there's question marks there. But if we're just going with a raw front 4 right now, and again, like if we had depth, Niners would be higher. And, a team like the Cardinals would be lower because they don't have a lot around these 4. And same with the Rams. We do have questions with their depth after 3. But the Cardinals, if you're going raw front 4, they have 4 guys who have all had 9.5+ sacks seasons in their career. That's pretty freaking impressive, in my opinion. When you look at Chandler Jones, who's just every year he's religiously just an underrated football player, a guy who's had multiple 16+ sack seasons. Whether you want to talk about how he got his sacks or the quality of his sacks. How many players have multiple seasons with 16+ sacks? That's incredible. Jordan Phillips was very good for the Buffalo Bills. I thought he played pretty well against the run. He was a little injured last year, but he's a good football player. I don't think he's going to be a 9.5 sack player, but I think he can be a 4 to 5 sack player. Marcus Golden is just a pure pass rusher, and that's all they're going to ask him to do. I actually think he'll be an upgrade from Hassan Riddick, who kind of padded his stats with a couple of games last year. I think Marcus Golden's a better play-to-play pass rusher than him. And then finally, you end it with Watt. I know a lot of people think Watt's washed. I think they think Watt's hurt, all of those things. Some of those things apply, but Watt is still a really, really good football player. I don't know why people think Watt's no longer good. It's like, oh, the Houston Texans sucked last year and Watt only had 5 sacks, and now Watt's not a good football player. Like, what? Watt is still a dominant 5 technique, and I think he's going to have a really good season next year, especially playing next to Chandler Jones.
Am I the only person that when I think of Chandler Jones, I kind of think of like the player or the career that Aldon Smith should have had?
Worse, but yeah, that's who I think of too.
Pretty
because of the 35-inch arms, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
Yeah, I also had Cardinals at 1. Not much more to say besides I want to see J.J. Watt against someone as good as Chandler Jones. Now, I know they had some good lines. The Texans did, when they had Whitney Merciless and they had Clowney. But I don't think he's played with anyone as good as Chandler Jones is. And then when you think that they have Marcus Golden and Jordan Phillips too, who are both above average pass rushers, like third downs against the Cardinals is not going to be fun if you're a lineman. Maybe it will be if you're a receiver or a tight end, because I'm not too convinced about their other guys. And then I did want to say, too, about their blitzing. Like, they have Zaven Collins and Hassan Reddick, or
Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. Those are 2 freaks of nature. So if they're blitzing 6 guys and you have all those guys, that is going to be hard to block. So best of luck. I guess that's why the Niners went out and got Alex Mack and Banks, and they paid a bunch of guys. But, yeah, that's the front 4. So we had a consensus, actually, surprisingly.
Shocking.
We all had the Seahawks at 4. We all had the Niners at 3. All had the Rams at 2, and all had the Cardinals at 1. So those were our front 4s.